All right, let's dive into Dirty Little Secrets, the fourth episode of Suits. This is an episode where, you guessed it, every single character is hiding something, and a couple of seemingly impossible cases are about to threaten to bring it all out into the open. Right from the jump, we're right back into the main conflict. Our guy, Mike Ross, is basically living on a knife's edge. He's got this massive lie that his entire career is built on, and he's totally convinced it's all about to come crashing down around him. So where does all this anxiety come from? Well, it all kicks off with what seems like a pretty harmless office activity, a high-stakes Harvard trivia game. And of course, it's hosted by the one person who's most suspicious of Mike, Louis Litt. And this scene is just perfect because it shows you everything you need to know about Mike's situation. On one hand, he can brilliantly correct a rival on the exact number of Harvard-educated Supreme Court justices. But on the other, he's totally stumped when they ask about getting pizza from Pinocchio's, a student tradition. It's just a huge, blinking sign that, book smarts are not the same thing as actually being there. So that's the big question that really drives this whole episode, right? Well, Mike is freaking out about his secret. Both he and Harvey get handed cases that honestly look like total dead ends. And this sets up these two fantastic parallel plot lines that we're going to follow. So the first challenge, the A-plot, lands right in Harvey Specter's lap, and it's a case that is incredibly personal for the firm's powerhouse managing partner, Jessica Pearson. Here's the deal Harvey gets handed. He has to defend Jessica's ex-husband, a guy named Quentin Sands. His company is getting sued for $250 million because their new drug for ALS is allegedly killing patients. It's a total PR nightmare. And, no surprise, no other firm in the city will even touch it. Now, Harvey takes the case, but you can tell he is not happy about it. His main worry isn't really the client, it's Jessica. He is absolutely convinced that her history with this guy is going to make her interfere, make bad calls, and turn what's already a tough case into a completely impossible one. Meanwhile, as a little reward for winning that trivia game, Louis gives Mike his very first solo case. Now, it is a world away from Harvey's corporate gladiator match, but trust me, it comes with its own major headaches. And you just can't get more different than these two cases. Harvey's fighting over $250 million for a powerful CEO. Mike is fighting pro bono for free, just to stop one guy from getting evicted. They are operating in two totally different legal galaxies. On the surface, this seems like a slam dunk, right? A landlord refuses to fix a bedbug problem and then tries to kick out the tenant for withholding rent. Mike figures, hey, I'm smart, this will be easy. But he is about to get a serious reality check on how messy the real world of law can be. And yeah, his first time in court, it is an absolute, unmitigated disaster. He gets completely outplayed by a veteran lawyer, he doesn't have the right evidence, and he gets publicly shamed. It's a brutal lesson that hits him right where it hurts most. His photographic memory is no substitute for real experience. He's not a real lawyer, and in that moment, he feels it. Okay, so both our guys have hit a brick wall. What happens next? Well, they start digging for the truth. And that's when they each uncover the dirty little secret that's been hiding in plain sight the whole time. For Harvey, the secret he uncovers, it's not what anyone expected. It isn't about corporate greed or some financial scam. It's something deeply personal, something tragic, and it completely changes the game. And there it is, the big reveal. Jessica finds out her ex-husband has the very disease his drug is supposed to treat. The fraud wasn't about money at all. It was an act of pure desperation by his girlfriend, who broke the law trying to save the man she loves. Mike, on the other hand, has to get his hands dirty to find his secret. After that courtroom humiliation, he gets creative. He gets Rachel to pose as his wife, they go undercover, and he does the actual gumshoe detective work, tracking down other people the landlord kicked out. And what he finds is just awful. The landlord wasn't just lazy, he was actively malicious. He was deliberately planting infested carpets to force out his low-rent tenants so he could renovate and jack up the prices. This wasn't just an accident, this was his business plan. So now that they both know the truth, the real game begins. Armed with these secrets, both Harvey and Mike come up with these ingenious, totally unconventional ways to win cases that looked absolutely hopeless. Harvey's move here is just a total masterstroke. Instead of fighting the plaintiffs, he completely flips the script. He shows them that Quentin is sick too, and then, instead of a payout, he offers them a controlling stake in the company. He turns his enemies into partners, all working for the same cause. And Mike's win? It's just as brilliant, but way more direct. He doesn't need legal arguments. He just walks in and confronts the landlord with a piece of the nasty carpet. The guy's panicked reaction is basically a confession, and he's forced to settle right then and there.
But here's the thing. Mike's victory wasn't just about justice for one tenant. It turns out he found 15 other tenants who got the same raw deal from this landlord.
And this is where Mike's win becomes the stuff of legend at the firm. He takes this nothing case that Louis gave him as a punishment, and he turns it into a huge business win. He brings in 15 new paying clients. He proves to a totally stunned Louis, and more importantly to himself, that he actually does belong there. So he's riding high from this huge professional victory, and, he's feeling the thrill of going undercover with Rachel. So he finally does it. He takes a leap and asks her out on a real date to celebrate their fake anniversary.
And he gets shut down hard. Rachel's rule is simple and absolute. She doesn't date anyone from the office. It's this really bittersweet moment that just goes to show, Mike might be learning how to win in a courtroom, but the unwritten rules of the office, that's a whole different battlefield.
And that really brings us full circle, doesn't it? From Jessica's complicated history with her ex-husband to Mike's budding feelings for Rachel, both of our heroes learn that the truth you're fighting for in court and the truth you're hiding in your own life, they're often tangled up together. It just leaves you wondering, are the toughest cases you'll ever face always the ones that are closest to home?